Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of Game of Thrones. This is Season 8, Episode 4. Let's jump right into it. Oh, and don't forget to check out my merch down below. So as predicted, well, I didn't actually say it on my video last week, but as I predicted in my mind last week, this is the kind of episode that you have in most series where it's kind of that transition, that in-between episode. People make decisions and then they act out those decisions, and then there's outcomes, and then the next episode is gonna probably have more action in it. So we start off with Winterfell. We come up on legs. That is the first thing we see as the camera slowly pans up, and girl, it is a dead body. I believe it's Jorah that we see first. Then the camera pans back and we just see so many pyres of bodies. Actually, I thought it would be even more pyres. So much was happening in the dark last episode, so I actually don't know, but it was a really great send-off. We have Dany crying over the body of Jorah. They are laying everybody to rest, and then Dany, Jon, Arya, Sansa, Tormund, they all walk forward and they light the pyres. Before we light the pyres, Jon gives a powerful speech talking about we can never repay the dead, let's do our best to honor them, and we lay them here to rest. We've saved the realm of men. So they lit the pyres and then they went in to have their feast. And so in the beginning, the feast is a little bit calm, and Gendry is talking to Clegane, which is the Hound. Gendry wants to know where Arya is. I don't know where she is, go find her yourself. So Gendry gets up to go look for Arya, and Dany makes her first move. She's really trying to win the people of the North. She's sitting down at this feast and no one's talking to her, and she's kind of just watching everything happen. So she's like, I need to sow some seeds. So she yells out to Gendry, and at first feels like she's gonna challenge him because he's a bastard Baratheon. And then she's like, you fought well. I'm gonna give you the title that wasn't given to you because you are a bastard, and you are now Lord Baratheon, and like you get whatever lands and homes that the Baratheons own. And he's really excited, and everybody cheers, and everybody's like clapping, and Sansa peeps that game, and then Tyrion peeps Sansa peeping that game, and Sansa's just like, yeah, she is really trying to like make some friends. Because I really don't know what Sansa wants. I know what she doesn't want, and she doesn't want Dany to be queen, at least of her and the North, which I agree with. I think that there's always been this kind of tenuous relationship between the North and the rest of the Seven Kingdoms, and because the Baratheon and Stark, they were friends. So when that happened, the King of the North, or the Lord of the North, which was Ned Stark, he pledged his allegiance to the Baratheons. But I think there's always been kind of a tug of war before this, and Sansa, she's had enough of the South. She doesn't want to leave the castle ever again. She just wants to handle the North and be a Northerner for the rest of her life. So we get back to the feast, and Podrick, Brienne, and Jaime are sitting down, and they're trying to get Brienne to drink, and finally they do get her to drink, and Tyrion is like walking around making his rounds, talking to everybody. He's talking to Sir Davos. Sir Davos gives us a little bit about how he felt about Melisandre killing herself because he wanted to do the honors, and then Tyrion goes and speaks with Bran, and it's like, hey, Lord of Winterfell, and Bran's like, no, there's too much happening. I live in the past. I'm not the Lord of Winterfell. Tyrion's like, okay, well, I like your wheelchair, and he's like, yeah, I like it too. I remember something that was made 200 years ago, and so that's what this is based off of. Tyrion's like, cool. So then Tyrion goes and sits down with Podrick, Jaime, and Brienne, and they do a drinking game. And girl, Brienne opens up, and it looks like it's a lot of fun. And then we panned to Dany, who is sitting at the head again, watching everybody have such a good time. And she's getting sad because she doesn't have her peoples. And I think she's also going through it with Jorah being gone. I think that Jorah and Missandei are her like homies, and they're not there right now. And I think it would be inappropriate for Missandei to be there. So she's just trying to like figure out the North. She's seeing the camaraderie, the revelry. She's seeing Jon and people slapping his back and loving him. And she just really wants that, but she knows she's not going to get that from the people of the North. Varys peeps this as well. So Varys is like kind of sitting back watching all of this happening because he's really trying to gauge the temperament of the queen that he has decided to follow. Then we shoot back to Brienne and her group, and Brienne gets upset because Tyrion says that she's a virgin, and she's like, I gotta go pee. So she gets up and leave, and then Jaime goes after her, and then Tormund gets really sad because he's like, I've worked so hard and I just wanted to have sex with her. And now he came in and souped her away. He's like crying to Clegane, and Clegane is like, get your twat hands off of me. And then this woman comes up and tells Tormund that she'll have sex with him, and Tormund is all of a sudden miraculously better. Then Sansa comes over and talks to him, and they have this like moment that I don't even remember. I don't know how they know each other. And I can't even remember if the hounds, I know that Arya Stark left with someone, but I don't know who that someone is. Like I have no memory of who the person is that she left with. And so because I have a memory of her being with the hound, I assume that Clegane is the one who took Arya away and maybe had attempted to take Sansa, but Sansa didn't want to go, which I need to watch season 1 again because I don't really remember. I'm still really shook over Ned Stark being dead, which I know that was a long time ago, but you guys, like, why he have to die though? Anywho, so they have this conversation. He calls her a little bird, which is I guess something he used to call her. And he's like, you know, you've grown up. You can look me dead in the eye now. And she's like, yeah, there's a lot that's happened. And he basically is like, yeah, you got run through by this person and that person and that person. And now you're different. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, if you just come with me from the beginning. And she's like, no, if I had come with you, I wouldn't be the person that I am. So I think Sansa's really sitting in her power right now. I'm here for Sansa. I hated Sansa for all of the seasons. And now I'm starting to like really be like, okay, I'm team Sansa. I feel her. Sansa has a little moment with Clegane. She squeezes his hand and then she gets him and goes about her business. And then we go to Gendry. He has finally found Arya and she almost decapitates him. Girl, she almost shoots him through the eyeball with an arrow. So he finds her and he's like, what are you doing? People are drinking and having a good time. Like, you should be celebrating. And she's like, I am celebrating. And she's just like literally shooting arrows at this mark and like completely making it every single time. And he tells her the good news that he is now Lord Baratheon of whatever. And she's just like, congratulations. And he gets on one knee and proposes to her. He's like, look, I don't even know how to use a fork. So if you could help me do this, that would be great. And she's like, look, I'm not a lady, okay? I've never been a lady. And you will find somebody and you will make them very, very happy. But that person is not me. And he's sad. I mean, I think he should have known that. What about Arya looks like she's about to be in a dress? That's Gendry. He just doesn't know. He's a blacksmith, for God's sake. Then we cut to Brienne and Jaime. Then Jaime does like the quintessential male thing and he comes and knocks on her door and he's like, oh, you don't have any alcohol in your hand. You should have alcohol. And she's like, what? And then he's like, oh, it's so hot in here. It's so hot. Oh, girl, I'm hot. And she's like, do you want me to help you take off your shirt? Because I don't, but it's the north and it's supposed to be hot because it's real, real cold outside. And he's like, shut up, take off your clothes. They have sex, girl. She loses her V card to Jaime Lannister and she really loves him. So, you know, I support the union. So then we cut to Jon in his room trying not to vomit. And Dany comes in and she's just like, hey, are you drunk? And he's like, no. And then he gets up and stumbles and he is drunk. And then they start to make out and Jon pulls away because he's like, ugh, auntie, I can't. And she's like, but I want to be happy and I want to be how it was before I found out and I wish I didn't find out and why the fuck did you tell me? And he's just like, listen, I don't want to be king. I've already bended the knee to you. It's just between us. It'll be fine. And she's like, you need to swear your brother and Sam to secrecy and that's it. And he's like, it doesn't matter. I don't want to be king. And she's like, it'll take a life of its own if people start to find out. They will demand that you try to be king because you have the rightful claim to it. Dany begs him not to tell anybody and to keep it to the death. Keep that secret to the death. And he's like, well, I have to tell Sansa and Arya. And she's like, no, don't tell anyone. I'm begging you, and I've never begged anybody. He says, they are my family, and you are my queen, and we can live together. And she says, yeah, we can, and I just told you how. And she pulls away and she bounces. So then the next day, they're in the war room having a conversation about how they're going to take King's Landing. So everyone's like, oh, we're going to go do here, we're going to separate, we're going to do that. And then Sansa's like, hey, I really think that you should wait because everybody's tired. We just finished fighting the dead. People need to be fed. People need to heal. And then you'll have a stronger, better army. And then Dany gets upset because she wants to go in right away. And she challenges Sansa and she's just like, you said you were going to give me your people and now you're saying that we need to wait longer. And in order to diffuse that, Jon jumps in and he's like, no, my queen, we'll go right now. We'll do whatever you say. It'll be fine. And Sansa and Arya look at each other like, this fool, we're going to have a family meeting. So everybody gets up and leaves and they call that family meeting and they're like, we need to talk to you because you are tripping. They're all at the tree like, we are family. I got all my brothers with me that are left alive. We are family. You know what I'm saying? So they go to the elder tree and they start to talk. Sansa's like, I don't trust her. I don't understand why we need to be a part of the Seven Kingdoms. Just let her go. Jon's like, I had to do what I had to do. We needed her army. We needed her. If we didn't have her, we wouldn't have won the war. And Arya's like, you're right. I don't begrave you that. You did the right thing. Sansa, he did the right thing. However, at this time, we don't trust her. You are a Stark. You're not my half-brother. You're not my bastard brother. You're my brother. You are now King of the North. You are now Lord of Winterfell. I need you to stay here for just a sec and let's talk about this. And Jon is like, well, I'm not a Stark. And they're like, listen, you're a Stark, okay? It doesn't matter. And he's like, no, for real, I'm not a Stark. And he looks at Bran, and Bran is like, tell him if you want to. And he's like, okay, I have something to tell you, but you have to swear you won't tell anybody. And they're just like, and Arya's like, I swear. And Sansa's like, I swear. And then they tell them. He didn't swear to Dany that he wouldn't tell Sansa and Arya, but he also didn't tell her, like, nah, sis, I'm still gonna tell him. I mean, he's just such an honest person, it wouldn't have sat well with him. I mean, he really is his father's son. Well, not his biological father, but like his nurture father, you know? Like, he's just an honest, good man, which is why we all love Jon and want him to be king. I want sovereignty for the North. They have different weather, they have different traditions, they don't be marrying their uncles and aunties. Like, I need the North to be their own sovereign state. Like, why does the Seven Kingdoms need it? Can't they just be the Six Kingdoms? So then we have a scene where the Lannister brothers are hanging out tough because they really haven't chilly-willied like this in a very long time. And they just finished defeating the dead. So they're having a good kiki in a bar. And then Sir Bronn of Blackwater comes in holding the very same bow. What's that thing called? Like a bow, not a bow and arrow, but I used to know what that weapon was called. I'm just going to call it a bow for now. Holding onto a bow that he happenstance killed his own father with, and they both recognize it, and they're like, what are you doing here? And what are you doing with that? And he's like, look, your sister hired me to kill you guys in case you survived the dead. And Tyrion is like, listen, remember I told you that if anybody ever told you to kill me, that I would pay double? And he's like, exactly. What is double of River Run? And they think, and Tyrion is like, Highgarden. That is what double of River Run in. And if you guys remember, River Run is Catelyn Stark's ancestral home. You know, she's a Tully. And Highgarden is the ancestral home of the woman who gonna marry Joffrey, but then Joffrey died. That's her family. They killed that entire family. So Highgarden is just chilly willy, you know what I'm saying? And they have such lush soil that's where most of the realm gets their food from. He's like, look, you got dragons. I get it. I really am on your side. But I was left in King's Landing, so I had to do what I had to do. You have dragons, use them, win this war, or else I'm coming back and killing you. And they're like, deal. So he backs out and leaves. And then Tyrion and Jaime are just like, damn, that bitch is cold-hearted. I mean, they didn't say that, but that's what I think. Hateful ass sister. So then the next scene is the Hound leaving Winterfell, and he is on his way presumably to kill his brother in King's Landing. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what his unfinished business is. Because his brother, which I don't understand how his brother got the way he got, the mountain. Like, why does he look like that? Is he like demon? Like, I don't get it. But anyways, I missed that. I don't know what's happening with him. But anywho, and why is he so dedicated to Cersei? I missed that whole section that explained how she got him and why he's like, looks like that. The Mountain and the Hound, they're brothers. And the Mountain tried to kill the Hound when he was a kid. So that's why he has all that burning on his face. Anyway, so unfinished business. And then Arya sidles up and he's like, oh, fuck, tit. What does she want? Twat. I love Clegane. And so Arya comes up to him and she's like, where are you going? And he's like, south. And she's like, good, me too. So you're not going to stay with your siblings? You know, I'm not coming back up here. And she's like, no, I don't plan on coming back up here either. You know, Arya is a G, bruh. She's like, look, we out? I'm not coming back because I'm probably going to die. But I'm going to go handle business. So let's go handle business together. And Clegane is like, okay, but if next time I'm on my deathbed, are you going to leave me again? And she's like, maybe. And so they ride off south. Jon has saying his farewell to Tormund. Tormund is like, come to the north, be north with us. And he's like, we are definitely still in the north. And Tormund's like, no, the north, the free folk north. I'm taking them and we're going to go. And Jon is like, you know what? I can't. I have a lot of business to do down here. But if you could take Ghost, he doesn't belong in the south. A direwolf needs to be in the north. Ghost survived, y'all. He only got one ear, but he survived. And we were happy for him. He was the runt of the litter and he's the only person who has made it. And we love him for that. So So Tormund's like, sure, if you ever need a friend in the North, the real North, we got you, bro. We got you. I'll be at Castle Black for a sec, and then we're going to be on our way. Jon's like, cool. And then Sam Tully comes out. Turns out that Muffy or what's her name? I don't know her name. The one with the buck teeth. She's pregnant. And Sam and Jon hug each other, and Jon gets on his horse, and he rides off with Sir Davos and a lot of the troops, and they're on their way to wherever it is that they're going. I can't remember where they're going. Like, Dany's going to, like, her ancestral home, where all the dragon glass is, and then I can't remember where Jon's going, but they're going a separate route, and then they'll meet up. Then we have a conversation between Tyrion and Sansa on the battlements, and Sansa is just pissed because now she has this information and she wants to tell somebody, and she ends up telling Tyrion. She's like, listen, I know I didn't say I swear, I said I swear. Tyrion tries to tell Sansa that Dany isn't that bad, and she's just like, if there's somebody else better, would you accept that person? And Tyrion's like, say what now? Who better? She's like, listen. And she tells him. Sansa ends up telling Tyrion that Jon is actually Aegon Targaryen, 6th of his name. Then Tyrion is on a boat with Varys, and they're having the conversation, and Varys is like, how many people know? And Tyrion's like, 8, and he's like, it's not a secret. That's information. Too many people know, and soon 100 people will know. So, this plot thickens. Now, what do we think? Do we think Jon could be king? And Tyrion's like, he does not want to be king. And Varys is like, that's the best kind of candidate, the person who doesn't want the power. And Tyrion is like, listen, we can just have them marry each other. And Varys is like, they're auntie and nephew. And Tyrion is like, well, they do that in the Targaryen household. And Varys is like, Jon wasn't raised a Targaryen. Do they do that in the North? Listen, we can't bank on that, okay? Let's just see how this plays out. But just know that this is going to get out. So they leave it at that. And then all of a sudden the ship gets attacked, girl, because Euron Greyjoy is waiting, lying in wait for them to get there. And he has these giant harpoons. Girl, they came up on him. And she was flying, her and her 2 dragons, the 2 that are left. And the death of that dragon by that giant harpoon, like, took me out. I was so sad. That was like one of the worst deaths I've seen. It was like watching Ned Stark die again. I don't know why. It wasn't that crazy as Ned Stark, but it was a really bad death for me. I was just so sad about this poor animal being harpooned to death and then, like, sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Oh, it made me so sad. It was just so devastating. And Dany got mad, and she decided that she was gonna, like, make this foolhardy attempt and, like, race towards them when they all had the harpoons on them. There was like 10 harpoons aimed on her, but somehow miraculously she gets away. Thank you, writers. Her ships get decimated. And for whatever reason, Missandei gets captured. How it happens, we don't know. The time we see her, Grey Worm tells her to get on a skiff and get out of the way, and then all of a sudden she's caught by Cersei. I'm just like, did she get on the skiff and go the wrong way? Like, why didn't she end up on shore like everybody else? It turns out that Missandei is captive, and this is a big blow for the Dragon Queen. Next, we have Cersei, and she's wearing this real tough outfit, girl. She looks good, okay? The shoulder pads that are like armor, the crown, the short pixie cut, the red, that royal red. It looks so good on her, okay? So she's brought in all the people in from King's Landing into the castle so that they can surround her. She puts the innocent in front of her so that when Daenerys Targaryen comes to burn down the castle, she will kill thousands of people. Because that's the kind of crazy lunatic Cersei is. So Cersei then tells Euron that her baby is his baby and it's a son, knowing damn well it's not. And she's like low-key kind of disgusted about the lie she's about to tell because this is her and Jaime Lannister's baby. Her advisor, her hand is just so gross to me and crotchety and old and like non-feeling and kind of evil. Like, I just feel like she's surrounding herself with the worst of the worst. I mean, she's the worst, but like everybody around her is just like animal. Euron tells her about the victory that they just had. She's really happy about it. Then we cut to Varys and Tyrion having another conversation, and this time they're in the throne room of the Dragonglass ancestral home. I can't think of the name of it. So they're at the Targaryen ancestral home and they're in the throne room and they're having a conversation in this cavernous space. And I'm like, you guys should be in a closet somewhere if you're going to talk about treason. I'm nervous about this whole situation. It's 2 of them, 2 lamps, and a keg of wine. And Tyrion is going in, and they're just talking about whether or not Jon would be a better king. And Varys is like, look, I'm about the people of the realm. She's about to kill a whole lot of people. We told her that there are a lot of people in King's Landing and not to go in there and burn everything down. But now this is the catalyst and just pushing her to go burn everything down. And she wants to go kill everybody. And I'm a person of the realm. Okay. I'm here for the people. I will follow whomever and take down whomever to make sure that the people are safe and fed. And that's what they deserve. And Tyrion is like, the people don't even care. And Tyrion is just like, look, we have to support this queen because at some point we just need to pick a side and stick with that side. And Varys is like, no, I've survived a long time. I change sides with whoever is doing the best for the realm, period, point blank. Tyrion is like, we were talking about treason. And he's like, well, you thought it. And Tyrion is like, yeah, thinking about treason is different than actually talking about it. And Varys is like, look, you're going to need to square up and choose a side soon. I'm telling you where I stand. And the thing is, though, I feel like Varys is comfortable saying this to Tyrion because he knows he's making sense. And he knows that at the end of the day, Tyrion will make the correct choice and go with the people and not with just who he loves. Because tyrants always think that it's their destiny to be in power. And that's where the problem lies with a lot of tyrants. And Dany's turning into one. And she's feeding into her evil and destructive inclinations, which is why they kicked the Targaryens out of power in the first place. So then we cut back to Winterfell, and Jaime ends up finding out about Cersei and what she did and how she took out the dragon and the Dragon Queen and how mad Daenerys is. And Sansa's like, look, I always wanted to see your sister executed, but it looks like I won't, but I'm still happy about it. And then Jaime, like, can't let that happen. He has done so much for Cersei. He has killed, he's maimed, he's done a lot. So he's leaves to go to be with Cersei, and Brienne begs him not to go. She cries and she's like, you're better than that. You're a better man. And he's like, no, Cersei's hateful and I'm hateful. I've killed a lot of people for her. I'm leaving. And he gets on his horse and rides off, and Brienne cries like I've never seen a grown-ass woman cry, girl. She is crying. She's so upset. Her first love. I wonder how many times they got to have sex. Our last scene is Dany's at the gate of King's Landing, and Tyrion and the Hand of King's Landing come out and they talk, and Tyrion is trying to talk some sense into him because he's like, look, we don't want children murdered and burned alive. And he's like, yeah, we don't want that because it's terrible, but... And Tyrion is like, no, there's no but. We don't want that. So let's talk some sense into our queens. And he's like, but there is no sense because Cersei's the right queen and you guys are usurpers, so... And Tyrion's like, I can't with you anymore. And he like literally just sidesteps him and walks up to Cersei, who is like 15,000 feet above him. And then he has like a conversation with her as though they are literally in the same room. And I'm just like, okay, I have suspended my disbelief for a lot of this show, but this is ridiculous. He's not even yelling. He's literally just like, Cersei, stop what you're doing. And Cersei doesn't say shit to him. She makes it seem like she's going to have her archers shoot him, which I believe that she was. I was like, oh shit, Tyrion about to die. Because I don't put nothing past Cersei. She's been trying to kill Tyrion since he was born. So Tyrion anyways, like, is just like believing in the power of family, I guess. And he looks up at her and he's like, you don't care about those people. You hate them and they hate you. So just let them go free and let's handle this man to man. And you don't want to do this to your child either. You don't want to die. And Tyrion is talking like he has a leg to stand on. Personally, I don't believe they have a leg to stand on at this time. You know, they got a down dragon because that dragon's not going to fly anywhere because those harpoons are definitely on the battlements, right? So those harpoons are going to take them down. Like, how is Dany going to do anything? She doesn't actually control fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she had some kind of fire magical power, I'd be like, okay, cool. But the only thing she has power over are the dragons that have the fire. And the only thing she can do is walk through fire. So I don't understand why they think they have a leg to stand on. They do not. So they say what's obvious. Your troops are sad and slow. You're not going to win this war. We have harpoons. We have the sea. Like, what are you guys going to do? Tyrion is still trying to talk like he has a leg to stand on. Cersei doesn't say shit to him. She just reaches over and speaks to Missandei. And she's like, say your final words. And so Missandei says Dragos, which is to let Tyrion and Dany and anybody who speaks that language know to just burn the shit down. And then the mountain beheads her. And then we see her body fall to the ground and it is like sad. Grey Worm's pissed. Dany turns around pissed. Angry. And I just wish that Jon were there to fix this. Because if Jon were there, things would be better. I really do think that Jon should be the king. All right, you guys, so that is the end of that episode. Let me know what you guys thought down below. This wasn't super exciting. Like, I was watching it and I was like, okay, thanks for the information. That's cool. But I can't wait for next week's episode. I think that there'll be some action. I think the plot will get moved along in a way that's like, ooh, yes. And I really want to know, we have 2 more episodes left till the end of Game of Thrones. And I'm actually really excited about it. And I think this was such a great series. All right, you guys, don't forget to check out my merch down below. Let's have a kiki and a conversation in the comment section. Let me know what your favorite part of this episode was, or your most devastating part of this episode. For instance, my most devastating part was when the dragon died. All right, you guys, remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.